continue with our chat just before the ad break. Dan Mace, content creator and filmmaker, now joins us, of course, exploring inside the most deadly taxi mafia in Africa. Dan, welcome back. Sorry about that hiccup a little earlier on. You were just in conversation about really putting this documentary all together. You were overseas, you came back, you decided to work on this. Tell us the motivation behind it, the brief synopsis of it all as well.
Sure. So we were sitting in a studio. I've got a studio in Cape Town, and these ideas, we have ideation sessions weekly, and an idea came up about the taxi drivers and this kind of idea that drivers generally have, that taxi drivers are bad, that you see the iconography of a taxi and you go, that is a bad thing, and I should either move away from it, or it's going to cause some sort of chaos in my life, or that taxi itself has this sort of negative image attached to it. So yeah, I really wanted to go in and see if it was all that bad, and if all taxis are that bad. So that's kind of, I guess, a good hook into the idea of the story. And yeah, that's kind of where it began. And it went down a six-month-long sort of rabbit hole of different information from different sides of the story. Obviously, we went down the governed and ungoverned route, or the government route and the unregulated route, which is the taxi route. And yeah, it unraveled and definitely rustled some feathers, I would say, once it was released. But yeah, it was very, very insightful to go about.
Dan, I'm just thinking, had you ever been in a taxi before working on the documentary? And then if we're going to be speaking about your fears that you've now alluded to in putting all this together, given the response as well, how did you put that aside when you put all this together? What was that point when you perhaps had to drive alone to Langa, Khayelitsha? How were you received?
Yeah, so I had been in a few taxis before, just never in the front of a taxi. Because in the film, like you would see, in the front of the taxi, you become the cashier. Yes. Which was really funny as well, and it added a sense of camaraderie, I guess, and put me in a part of like the working structure of a taxi, which was a really sort of like an unplanned element within the film, and it really added to it. But speaking to the fear, as a filmmaker, I don't know, I've made films with gangs before, and really possibly more dangerous, I would say, in certain ways. And this, I don't know. There's actually elements in this which was pretty much the most dangerous thing that I've done.
In what sense?
Yeah, I guess just in certain areas there, because of the hesitation to possibly being exploited by the media. There could be tension that arises if I go into the wrong area and approach it in the wrong way. And then also just the area specific. So when looking at Nyanga and looking at the crime rate within Nyanga, it just being a dangerous area, it's obviously, the probability of something going wrong is a lot higher in a high crime zone. So yeah, there were risky situations, and situations that I just didn't know what the outcome would be. Like the very first interview that I had with in the Nyanga taxi rank, and I got asked to go into the back container area. That was definitely really scary, but yeah, I just had to go for it at that point.
Well, you've survived. You're here to tell the tale. The documentary's out. Did it also perhaps take a mental strain on you as well, even the crew members at large, knowing the risks that you've just spoken of?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're a tiny crew. It was just myself and one of the guys from my studio, Keegan. So in a situation like this, we go with a really what you call a skinny team. It's just a very, very small unit. And I think more so emotionally, it got both of us than mentally. And I'll tell you why. It's because you've on the one side you have the law and you understand the law, and on the other side there's mobsters and there's gangsters and there's criminals, and then in the middle there's people that are just trying to do their job, and they're just trying to, just like anybody else, and that's for the most part of the taxi industry from what I found here in the Western Cape. But what happens in the middle is they all get painted out to be mobsters and criminals, and I don't want to at all take away from it and say that there's no mobsters and criminals, because there definitely are. It's just that, you know, when going along and seeing the taxis being impounded and seeing these routes and seeing families that are struggling based upon, you know, their father being the caregiver, and the taxi being impounded and them not being able to work for a week or 2 weeks, and to see the look on their faces, you know, when they get arrested, and it's heartbreaking. Like I said, afterwards I've been in contact with the police as well as with the taxi drivers, because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't make anybody really upset on either side.
Yeah.
And both actually had a positive reaction towards the film, so that was good. Yeah.
I actually wanted to get into the positive aspects, you know, that you experienced in working on this documentary, and so thank you for alluding to that. I mean, if anything else comes to mind, perhaps you could also share how it's changed your view on the taxi industry now that you've delved in further, and obviously if there's not going to be a follow-up of sorts, is there something else that you're now working on that you can take it further?
Definitely. We are working on a follow-up video. As you can see in the visuals there's an arrest scene that wasn't in the first video. That's to allude to a second video. And yeah, we're going a lot deeper in the second video, because it's taking a lot of time to get actual facts and get down to a lot of the figures and everything, even though we worked with mathematicians and trying to look into exactly on the solution side of things, like the blue dot program, there's limited data when it comes to that to be able to gain access to. So yeah, we're busy gaining a lot more access to different figures and that sort of thing. And then yeah, obviously it's each within the Western Province, it's governed differently, so we've got to treat that each province as its own.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really want to try and figure out the Western Cape, but yeah, as a whole, it has changed my perception a lot, and I think it has changed a lot of people's perception on the road. And sure, like, you know, you see a taxi zooming past, and it's, instead of, now it's kind of like, I don't want to say that driving illegally on the road is good at all, but I definitely have a understanding to some extent why certain taxi drivers drive on the yellow line during traffic, and that's because passengers are the ones that are applying the pressure, one, and two, you know, the congestion is so bad, and if we don't get workers to work on time, it's going to absolutely cripple the economy. So it is a conundrum. It's like, you know,
there are knock-on effects, and thank you so much for alluding to the fact that there's going to be a part 2. So we're certainly looking forward to that conversation continuing. I'm going to leave our conversation here for now. Thank you for joining us bright and early. Content creator, filmmaker Dan Mace, and covering Cape Town's brutal taxi wars in a shocking documentary. It's called Inside South Africa's Secret Taxi Mafia. Just exploring also where to from here in relation to a follow-up as well.